I asked you earlier about how to hold down those liberated territories to make sure that these insurgents don't come back to slaughter people.
Yes, and I said that during this campaign, the military has gone after the training bases of these guys. In the Sambisa forest, they've destroyed all their training bases in Sambisa forest. Even as far as Bauchi State, there is a town called Toro, very close to Jos. They've destroyed their camps in all of those places. You know, how do they get themselves prepared for battle when their camps have been destroyed? Another thing is that because we've been working with our neighbors, Niger Republic, Chad, and Cameroon, the possibility of these guys escaping after causing havoc in Nigeria, escaping to Niger Republic is remote now, or even Chad, because those borders have been fortified. And remember, during the battle for Bama, the international media carried a lousy story that Chadian troops had withdrawn from Nigeria. And of course, many Nigerians believed it because it is negative stories about their country that many Nigerians love to spread. What happened was that some of these troops were moved because Bama is very close to Cameroon. Bama and Goza, they are very close to Cameroon. So they were moved to the latest theater of war so that those boys, as they are fleeing from the bombardment by the Nigerian forces, they will not be able to escape. So Chadian troops were positioned to foil their escape. So they are in complete disarray now, and every community that we have seized, our soldiers have been kept there. Don't forget that the African Union has already concluded plans to raise a 10,000-man force, you know, strictly for the Nigerians northeast. Now, with these 10,000 troops, that will make up for Nigeria's obvious lack of enough troops, because these guys will come, coupled with the Chadian troops who are on ground. Every community that Chad captured, they kept their troops there, so they can't come back. They are in complete disarray. How do they launch a counterattack? How many times now in the last 2 weeks have you read that Boko Haram, you know, maybe they captured a territory or they went to a town to kill people? Even Shekau is finding it difficult to make videos these days. The last time Shekau made a broadcast, it was audio, because they are facing the heat now. So that is, I'm very confident. But look, it's going to take a while. I'm sure the president, who naturally wanted to reap political gains from this whole thing, thought that people would return to their homes, they'll be excited to return to their homes. But he's seeing now that those people are not excited to return to their homes. So for me, I don't know how many Mark will have said it again. It's because the reality is these people can't return to their homes immediately. Those homes even need to be rebuilt. Government will, America spent a lot of money to rebuild Iraq after the war. So you can't send our people to go and stay in places that have been totally destroyed. You need to see a video of Baga. There's virtually no house standing in that place anymore. Is that where people will go and live in? So they've realized now that those people cannot go to their homes now. Maybe they thought they'll be able to go to their homes immediately, but I heard the president appealing to the emir of Mobi to continue to beg people to come back. And Mobi had been rescued a long time ago. So that is the reality. Even Senator Aliun Dume, who comes from Goza, has been saying that the territories that have been captured a long time ago, people are refusing to go back. So there's nothing, no, the governor has not even gone home since April last year. The governor of the state. So is that bad?
Stop what you want to.
Yes, you know, you said that the military is we're winning the war, we're from a position of strength. However, I feel that the fact that a lack of proper analysis was taken into, there wasn't thorough analysis on the situation on ground. There wasn't analysis concerning how people will be integrated back into the society. There wasn't a time lapse, there wasn't a risk analysis of this entire war that we were about to fight, that the election was postponed to fight. Yes, they postponed it by 6 weeks, saying that they were expecting that something would happen, and if it didn't happen, that means somebody didn't plan well. And you know, one of the major issues I have with our government is that there are no repercussions for wrongdoings. People are inefficient in some activities, or there's some lapses in someone's position, something they're supposed to oversee as the head of a group or head of a department, and you don't do the job well, and nobody is given accounts in any form for lapses in your job. That is what you're meant to do. The INEC is meant to conduct the election, prepare for the election. The security of chiefs are supposed to ensure that there's proper security on ground for the officials and also for the electorate. If there are lapses in this, somebody should be responsible and they should face it. We should have regular address that you'll be talking to us. Now, there's an issue. We were talking about the fact that people don't trust. We trust the Western media, who would always carry negative news, because negative news is the real news. We're winning the war, and people are not trusting the government that we're actually winning the war. What is the procedure on ground to repatriate people back into their community? How are they planning to build? What's the structure? What's the budget for that one? So there's a whole lot to it that we're not looking at all. We're just concerned about the election. The election is one day. People's lives are still going to continue perpetually in that same area. So there must be plans for the future for them beyond the elections.
Let me add that even Maiduguri on election day, a lot of people would have been killed if this operation was not carried out, because there are some local governments very close to Maiduguri, you know, that we needed to liberate. Look at, why were people jubilating when they heard that the Nigerian army had entered Bama? You remember that we had a show. Because Bama is very close to, it's just, I think, like 35 kilometers to Maiduguri. And residents of Maiduguri have been finding it difficult to sleep with their two eyes shut, because Boko Haram continues to attack Konduga, which is the Nigerian army base just outside Maiduguri. And their determination is that if they can capture Konduga, they will enter Maiduguri. Remember, they've been constantly attacking Maiduguri. In fact, in 3 weeks, they attacked Maiduguri twice, and they entered into the city before they were pushed back. So the reality is, if with the military operation that we've carried out against these guys, even residents of Maiduguri, Biu, and others, that Boko Haram had been making efforts to capture their towns, they will feel safer now, and we can be confident that beyond maybe occasional bomb throwing, that look, there's really nothing you can do about that. You know, beyond the occasional bomb throwing, military attack to come and capture a community and start shooting people will no longer happen.
I think we spend enough time with this liberated towns, and if election is going to hold there or not. Tipo, I want to talk about the Khalifa of Adamawa, the Turaki of Adamawa, and you know.
Why are you calling him Khalifa? Khalifa means successor, so is he a successor?
And you know, every time since 2007, it has been topsy-turvy, in and out of the ruling party for Atiku Abubakar. It's either he's going to ACN, come back to PDP. Now the kite is being flown again. That some of his supporters, you know, are said to have decamped yesterday to the People's Democratic Party, and I understand it's under pressure from the federal government that it should come back to the People's Democratic Party.
No, let me take it up from the issue of some of his supporters, because these supporters we're talking about are mainly the PDM people. And you know, the PDM was the original structure of late Shehu Musa Yar'Adua, which he used to prosecute his campaign or the contest for the presidency during the 1990 Babangida transition era that eventually led us nowhere. So when the late Yar'Adua died, Atiku, being the second in command, inherited the structure, and he has always been the head of that structure. We have people like Anene, Etokadigbo, and the host of other prominent politicians. But you know, one of the problems created by the Obasanjo administration for Atiku was to decimate this structure such that Atiku didn't have much hold. But maybe on the periphery level, he's still being referred to as the PDM leader. Eventually, when there was a problem in PDP about last year that eventually led to the walkout of Atiku and the 5 governors that eventually joined the APC, the PDM pulled out of PDP. That they even applied to INEC for registration. I wouldn't know if the registration is still true. Atiku seemed to have lost grip of this group, because even when Atiku went to APC to contest for the presidency, which he lost to the General Muhammadu Buhari and Kwankwaso. These guys didn't follow him to APC. Because don't forget that some of these guys, some of them are already in government. We have Senator Ben Obi, who is a special advisor to the president on political affairs. The man is state put in administration. So if anybody is saying Atiku supporters have gone to PDP, he has lost hold of grip of that association. Because even when he came to APC, these guys, when they left the PDP, applied for registration to form a political party of their own. Now to the issue of Atiku himself. It is a pity because he is in a position where you cannot envy him. Because let me tell you one thing, a politician always wants to be relevant. So wherever he can get that relevance is what he always wants to go. If Atiku goes back to PDP today, based on the meeting they say he had with the president, that is in tandem with the thinking of a politician. But it's also a very difficult situation for him. Don't forget when he left PDP, rarely at the last convention, when the stage they woke up, they called PDP unprintable names. Up till last week, some of the aides of the president were still calling him names. And don't forget that during the last primaries of PDP, of the APC, some of the people in PDP wanted him to emerge as the winner because according to some of them, which we interacted with, they said they have the weapon to have nailed Atiku such that his presidency or the election will have been no contest for them. So if they are now thinking of getting him back, it is not because of that really substance, but it is just to make that thing that, oh, Atiku is now supporting the president, which the presidency is looking for. Now that's why they are campaigning for endorsement here and there. But the bottom line is that if Atiku goes back to PDP, it's not a strange thing because politicians also want relevance. And for the president to have gone to have a meeting with him, they must have promised him something. And that's exactly what politicians want. So if he goes back to PDP tomorrow, I don't think Nigerians will be surprised. But it will, for the issue of principle, I don't know what he's going to tell Nigerians that this is the reason I'm going back. That is the problem he will have now.
Of what relevance would all this be?
You know, I feel sad, really sad, that he just said something that is a fact. If he moves from APC back to PDP, people would forget in few months. We are so used to the lack of ideology, the lack of the sense of ownership of a dream or a vision that we're so used to not having any. We are just used to people just hustling for relevance. You know, life should go beyond relevance. Atiku is a man that I expect that he should have more thought for a legacy. He's been in politics, in the game of politics for too long for him to let himself to play the game and play himself into irrelevance. You know, that all people attached to him now is his pockets and his financial bits, you know. For me, even when we watched, I watched the presidential primaries, and I was disappointed. I was really, you know, I was on the show just a day before, and I was like, oh, this is a contest between the two titans. It's between Atiku and it's between Buhari. But I was shocked that they Kwakwanso, and that is what I say about, it's about the relevance of connecting people, integrity. Kwakwanso is a man that has built himself. He might not have the political clout of Atiku, but he has given himself that name, a legacy to live on ground. He should become a statesman. Even if he feels he's not old enough, that should be the game plan. Be the statesman, be the voice that says the truth to everybody. Be respected for the truth, even if it is, because there's relevance now his money. He's lost PDM. Who did he take to APC? Who is behind him right now? What is he bringing to the table in APC? Apart from that, he is Atiku Abubakar.
Jude?
Yes, Tokpo is right in several ways. Atiku, over the years, has lost relevance. I really don't understand what this whole dancing and singing about Atiku is about, because he comes from Adamawa State. PDP has completely taken over in Adamawa. In fact, when the governor did come to the APC, the deputy governor didn't go with him because PDP controls Adamawa State. Maybe things have changed a little bit now, but the reality is, even at that time when PDP was in charge of Adamawa, Atiku was with the APC. But the reality is, over the years, his political strength has been eroded, and he has not helped himself by not staying in one place. Remember when he went to hold that meeting with Obasanjo, you know, a meeting that made the ACN members to feel stabbed in the back. But unfortunately for him, because Obasanjo is not a man, he's a graceless man, Obasanjo was abusing him, that you see, he came to come and beg me, and I told him,
to come back.
you know, PDP. He ridiculed him in the media, and people were saying, you see, it serves you right. So, and the reality is that since this whole campaign began, Atiku has not done enough for the Buhari ticket. He has not been attending their rallies. I know that he has only attended 2 rallies, the rally in Adamawa and the one in Taraba. Of course, both rallies are in the northeast, you know, where he comes from. He has not done enough. In fact, I heard that he has refused to support them financially.
Imagine.
You know, so why didn't there's a question I want to ask. Why didn't why didn't President Jonathan go and talk to Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu? Because he could see clearly that those ones are committed, they are fighting this battle. But the fact that Atiku is neither here nor there, his body language, you know, is what suggests to them that this guy is ripe for blocking.
Very confused.
Let's work on it. If we work on him, perhaps he will do our bidding. But if they had not been made to sign the undertaking that they will back whoever emerged as the presidential candidate of the party, maybe some of them by now will have defected. Maybe that is what. I wanted
to remind you, Jide, that 2 days after that primaries, that Muhammadu Buhari visited Atiku Abubakar. We even showed it here, and you know, he paid him an unscheduled visit. That look, it's not winner takes all. That please, let's do this together.
How has he supported them?
He
has refused to support them, and I'm saying this because I know it. He has refused to support them financially. He does not show up at their rallies. When people see this, you know, they will see clearly that you are not fully committed to the project. That's why, if they can see that you are fully committed to the project, they will not come after you. But they are thinking, this guy doesn't appear to be fully committed. Let's make a move. You see? So that's why I asked the question, will anybody now go and meet Asiwaju Tinubu and say, why don't you come and work for Jonathan? Where would that person be coming from? You can use that is the thing. So Atiku's reputation is desperation to be president of Nigeria. It's the reason why he's been moving from one place to another and looks like Nigeria's most famous political prostitute. They're moving from one party to another. You will go, look, it's the people who went to him, it's not their fault. If you were in their shoes, you would do the same thing. Because they want to win. Look, it may not be of electoral value that much.
But the name.
But to announce in the papers that Atiku is now supporting Jonathan, you know the votes that will give them. Because Obasanjo doesn't really have electoral value. He can't win an election on his own, unassisted. But the fact that Obasanjo has clearly gone against Jonathan, I can tell you that even a lot of people who are sitting on the fence, they are now thinking, if Obasanjo, who brought this man, you know, as is working against him, doesn't want him back. So who am I to continue to campaign for him? That is the thing. It will really help them to add up to their numbers.
So I'll quickly take this break. When we come back, we'll talk more. Please don't go away. Stay with us.